Welcome back to the League of Legends World Championship. In just a moment, Origin will return to the stage as they take on KT Rolster. Now, this game is going to be the deciding factor for which team comes out as the first seed and which team comes out as the second seed. A lot on the line in this game. I'm going to start with predictions here, gentlemen. I'm going to ask you to explain your thinking as we go down the line. Yamato, once again, we're starting with you.
So I'm going to choose KT simply because this time KT has red sides, and I feel that the matchup between Someday and Soaz is favored in Someday's favor, of course, and Someday getting the counter pick is going to have a massive impact because last game we saw them face each other. They kind of just threw in the mid to late game. So I feel like if KT kind of solved that problem, I feel they have the edge.
Alrighty, Spawn?
Yeah, this was a harder game for me. I'm also going to go with KT. The reason being is I think that Niels and Mithy have now been shown that they are so much importance for their team, and I think the double teleport thing will start catching up with Origin a little bit as well now, just like it did for LGD. And I think that Someday's usage and his zoning of backline has only improved as the tournament went on. So I think that Someday is going to have, once again, another massive game, and the bottom lane of Origin is going to start becoming a huge focal point for the rest of this tournament.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with KT on this one. I feel like even though they got out-macroed last time, a lot of that was Nagne in the mid lane was not able to hold up on Echo. And I think that Echo is not something we're going to see again, and most likely for a lot of this tournament. I don't think it's a favorable pick there, and they wasn't able to get in a Kog'Maw composition. So Someday in the top lane, like Yamato was saying, I think is a key to victory here, and they're going to be able to exploit the rest of the map through that.
So no faith in Origin here on the
I have faith in them. I feel like Origin could take this home. There's a very high chance, and this was, like Spawn was saying, a very hard game to predict because these teams match up very well on paper.
All right, so the desk is slightly tilted in favor of KT.
I mean, LGD's been losing all tournament.
No, yeah, Spawn is just entirely tilted as an analyst. But the desk itself is tilted in KT's favor. It's time to see who will go to London as the first seed from Group D. So let's send it down to the casters and get this one underway.
Thank you very much, Dash. Great stuff on the day, guys. It's been amazing listening to you go back and forth, but we do have more games to go. Myself, Jat, and Deficio still here, and this now for OG means they have to kind of wipe the slate clean. Yep. They're still on blue side, but does that hurt? Nagne came out very big last game. He may get a counter pick that he wants coming into this pick and ban phase.
So Origin as a team really like to target ban. We saw TPQ receive the Lee Sin Rek'Sai treatment against Team Solo mid. They banned away 3 mid laners. I think they're going to ban like a Zia against Nagne. Could even go for the Blanc ban potentially. Take a Lulu away as well on that blue side. Aim for him. Try and shut him down a little bit. We, of course, get Mordekai as a gangplank from KT. And then they could potentially get 1 target ban.
Yeah, week 1, Nagne was actually one of the weakest mid laners at Worlds.
Yeah.
Statistically, he had massive CS discrepancy and wasn't doing damage in team fights when compared to the rest of his team. But today has been much different. He's had some really solid performances. He had something like an 80 CS lead over Godfrey later into that game they played earlier today. And they have actually chose not to fully target ban. Well, they did target ban him. You're correct.
Sure. You get at least a Zia ban against him. Lulu, of course, a flex option. Would still expect that to go towards the mid lane. But it's a very standard blue side ban now because you don't always want to first pick it and then show your composition already with that first pick. Now, I like the Kalista ban from KT. Think still LG should have done that last game.
Yeah.
Means at least, obviously, 4 amazing.
Talking about how Niels is kind of flown under the radar here, but Spawn made a good point. You see how important Niels and Mithy are to the team. So once they do get hit a little bit, they can't start to produce results. Here in the picks and bans, Elise is picked up by Amazing. Allow some catches and starts in the early game here if he wants to go hard. We've seen him kind of power farm with that champion in the beginning of the game go.
Very, very smart top lane in these lane swaps. Knowing when to back away, don't want to risk himself getting killed 2v3, 1v3, whatever it is. But I think we also saw with Origin in the last game is when Mithy is not on the hard engage support, how that has to go over to someone else. This last game, it was over to Soaz. You talked about it in the game as well, how it kind of eliminated them from running triple threat composition. So I think getting an engaged champion for Soaz is very key for this team. Oh, sorry, for Mithy. It's very key because he's so good as well as timing when to go in.
And I think it's smart of KT to not pick Darius early against Origin. Origin has actually been saving when they're on red side their last pick so Soaz can pick a counter matchup. And getting rid of that advantage for Someday to actually pick a counter matchup to Soaz is huge. So even though Darius is up, because both Someday and Soaz are so good at counter picking, I don't expect the top laner to be picked until last for KT. Or they can just wait a little bit and hope that Origin shows their hand early.
Origin might want to just flex again the cannon. Obviously means you can't really pick your support at the same time because that would kind of ruin the whole purpose of it. And not expecting a cannon mid lane to happen. Another champ that's open, in this case, I'm only saying this because Jinx is here, is Tahm Kench. And I think the Tahm Kench Jinx combos we've seen so far have been very, very good because he kind of gives Jinx that extra mobility she needs to survive when the engage happens from the other teams. And also in the laning phase, you kind of turn into a farm lane.
Yep.
I want to see if Peekaboo wants to play it. Also against the Thresh, I think it's a fine pick.
Yeah, so we've been doing a fair bit of talking about Tahm Kench versus Janna, and we thought like maybe why we weren't seeing Janna is because Tahm Kench was doing that job better. But I think there's a little bit of nuance to this, as the Darius actually is locked in, so there's still going to be the possibility for Origin to pick a counter matchup. But I feel like Janna is better against AoE teams because she can disrupt the Wombo combo, but Tahm Kench is much better against single target teams. Both are good defensive supports, but they have different strengths.
And Origin right now have a lot of single target CC to catch out members. The pick composition they're somewhat building with the Elise and the Thresh, very, very standard. That does allow the Tahm Kench to stop this guy from dying. Again, I don't know if KT wants to run it, but it's still fun to always look at some of these new support picks coming into the scene and where they start working in the meta.
They will lock in the Shen. Since week 1, we have not seen the Ninja take place back on the Rift, but it's actually going to be locked in here, meaning a support Shen for Peekaboo.
So 2 things KT are doing in this pick and ban phase. 1, they're getting ready to counter double teleport by having Shen support, so you can shut down what Origin used to beat KT in the last game.
Save that
obviously
one guy that gets caught.
Yeah, exactly. The 1-3-1 split push and stop that one-on-one from ever really happening, so you have extra global pressure on your support. And by taking Darius, you have that last pick for Peekaboo, last pick for Nagne, in case a TF gets locked in from Xpeke here. So he might be able to get a good matchup, take a LeBlanc into it, take a Fizz into it or something, and try and kill him in lane.
I'd love to see Twisted Fate from Peke here. I think it's really important that they're able to focus down Someday in lane, but at the same time, going to keep their AoE damage going. This is such a heavy magic damage team if they lock in these picks.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times today, honestly. I think the reason Origin does not want to go for Twisted Fate is because of Shen. They don't want to risk getting into a split push war against a global support, basically, and double teleport potentially anyway on the side of KT. So he goes for the very safe option. Do think Victor, after some of the nerfs happening to his early game, is not as safe as he used to be. And you can take quite a lot of lanes that can try and go for kills against him.
Yeah, I'd actually call him much more balanced. He runs into some mana problems if he tries to harass, because he used to be able to just wave clear as well as harass and then roam, but if he's using his wave clear now, he then doesn't have as much mana to hold off, and his scaling is much more gradual towards the late game. So I like the niche he's in as you see, 17% pick. That seems about right.
Because you just take Veigar here. Blow up the entire team. Could go for Diana still. Teleport in the mid.
It's another good matchup for Diana. We saw Godfrey do the same in the last game. It's so difficult for these control mages to really pressure her early game. Again, she can start, if she wants to go full sustain, Flask 3 potions. Even Dorn's Ring is okay into double potions as well. You have the TP for yourself, so you can sustain yourself in the lane early on and farm up that Nash's Tooth as your first item and then start becoming that split pushing threat really effectively. And you're so good at setting up these dives. So what you have now is a combo where a Shen support can easily join in when a Diana goes aggressive, and you can very easily dictate when do you want to fight. Do you want to shut down someone 1v1? Do you want to tower dive him on the side of KT? And of course, Darius is going to be the rock sitting in the other lane. But he's been counterpicked. Kennen is a good champion into Darius. You can keep the range. You can poke him there. Right. It's just very hard for you to kill him.
I think it's a great champion against Darius as long as they get to lane against each other. I think this will be a very lane swap heavy game. And on the topic of the mid lane picks, Peke versus Nagne, Victor versus Diana, I think that's an incredibly swingy matchup.
Sure.
Because Diana needs to fully engage onto Victor. If she can blow up Victor, she wins outright. But if she comes in to that range, she will get stunned in gravity field and then counter blown up by Victor. It really just depends on who gets a little bit ahead in that matchup.
We see the coaches shaking hands and heading off, leaving the teams now to fight for the first spot in Group D. Who's going to be able to grab it here? Origin or KT Rolster? Send your hashtags over to Twitter, hashtag OGWin or hashtag KTWin for who you think is going to come out into this game. OG a bit warmed up, trying to clean the slate. KT just had a chance to watch that game, and the first time that OG has faltered, maybe they know why. Maybe they can replicate it. We'll have to see. We're about to be on the Rift. A very big game here for Group D. to show us who will be that front runner.
Possibility of tiebreakers is no more. Winner of this game will definitely be first place. They have both secured a spot in the quarterfinals, but also, if you're a second seed in the group, you have the possibility of having to face the undefeated SK Telecom in your first quarterfinal matchup, which neither of these teams want to have to do. KT had to face SKT in a best of 5, and that was a 3-0 in the finals over in LCK for the summer.
Maybe you could get the Flash Wolves #1 seed coming out of Group A. So you're rolling the dice here. It could go very wrong, or maybe you could get a matchup. I think both these teams would look forward to playing against the Flash Wolves. We're going to have to see what happens, obviously.
You can't really predict anything this world. Everything has been blown wide open.
So
besides that C group.
about this early game here for Origin, they will very much like to have standard lanes. Getting Source into that one-on-one. He needs to be so careful, though.
So as gonna have to blow a flash here over the wall. Do they follow? It's gonna be someday. Apprehend.
He did so late.
Misses.
As
Flash for flash top.
As
And
silly as it
bot
is
lanes.
to face check that brush, Origin wins that trade. The top laners are down flash. Arrow used his flash,
Yeah,
and
bot lane.
Peekaboo used both summoners. That was a 4 summoner for 1 exchange, and Origin still gets counter wards. They lucked out big time there.
And they now know KT's going to be in the top side. We just said it before, Origin wants standard lanes. KT does not. You don't want to face head-on against the cannon. Double range lane as well in the bottom lane for Origin versus Shen support. KT can be very happy if they get the 2v1, but look here, Origin already lane swapped. They're going to be spotted on this ward at the tower, but it's so late they moved through it that KT won't really be able to recall in time and get the 2v1 unless they just push out the wave with Jinx and then recall and swap the lanes around.
Looks like it's going to be Soaz to lane. We'll see someday getting his level 2 in the jungle with Score, and then he'll head back down. Get that Darius matchup in the lane versus Kennen. Both their flashes are down, so definitely going to be keeping the range on the side of Soaz there.
Nils is very late to this lane here. I think he's going to lose at least 1 or 2 minions.
It's also a bit of a strange open. That's not a double jungle going on for Origin.
Yeah.
Soaz is soaking minions in the bottom lane, and Amazing actually solo started the jungle on his side, so a little bit non-standard level 1 here.
That was actually a really great taunt, too, from Peekaboo, stopping the Relic for Mithy to get the ones that Niels couldn't reach, so even a little more pushing them back on their heels as they start off this lane. We'll see how everything pans out. Someday, going to get the blue as he takes it down to the bot lane. Score's not going to need that.
Okay, so KT is trying to give Someday a good lane. Give him a blue buff because he's going to have to spam the axe from max range to farm properly against his cannon.
Yeah, and the thing is, Soaz is going to get a good lane. He double jungled, and then the wave wasn't frozen on the bottom side, so he's getting the giant wave that Soaz pushed into the turret. That gives Someday an experience advantage in that bottom lane where both members are flashless.
You're right.
Plus this top lane, since Niels was late to the experience war, is going to be losing that as well. Both side lanes are at a disadvantage currently for Origin.
Look at this. We haven't had this too much where both mid laners have that TP. So 1-1 backs, you're definitely going to try to get the advantage of getting back in time, getting yourself in the lead. Whoever uses it to the side lane, better work first.
Yeah, I really like that blue buff on Someday. Again, he has to sit and spam the max range axe to farm properly, so he needs it to keep up with Source. We might also see if Source keeps being a bully in this lane. We just have Score coming down for the first early gank and trying to at least force a flash. No, he doesn't even have flash from level 1. Score should definitely move down towards the bottom side. Amazing though is doing exactly the same.
Yep, both junglers actually need to mirror here. And it is really about who gets there first, specifically against a Rek'Sai. If Elise can get position, I'd actually love it if Amazing just stood still for a little while because he's in undetected, and Rek'Sai won't expect the counter gank.
They saw Score on the ward here in the mid lane.
If Amazing moves around, but it's going to be a fight.
Here we go, and on Someday, uses the Decimate. He's actually going to try to run a bit towards Score. The teleport coming in from the top. That's mid, I'm sorry. Nagne is going to be hitting it. No mana there on him. He's trying to get the autos in. It will be Soaz going down, maybe. Apprehend's not going to be there. There's a slight bleed. He tries to dodge out in the zigzag and Score, but he finally goes down. Amazing. Had to leave him.
I love how KT waited to get Someday that kill, knowing he needs it to win that 1v1 matchup against Soaz. Also, really clever pathing by Score to get down for that gank. Amazing thought he was safe because he really didn't expect a Rek'Sai coming in from that angle and therefore wasn't afraid of a counter gank. But then the counter gank did arrive. There was no reason for Peke to match Nagne's teleport since it would have been a lost 3v3 anyways, and it gives first blood smartly over to KT.
It creates a big mismatch in the top laner teleports as well for further plays. Half up already for Someday. They're going to know Soases will be down for a while.
Trying to trap Soaz again.
And that
Still doesn't have flash.
This is exactly what they did to Peke when he blew his flash last game. Can't get in close enough, though. KT is really trying to put the hurt on early.
And think about all this action in the bottom lane, and also Origin going in for that gank onto Someday. Darius wants this fight. He wants you to come at him and take the fight. Kennen is more sitting and poking you slowly down. So taking that 2v2, which it was expected to be, would almost always be very difficult for Origin to execute because Darius benefits from taking the fight and not the poke.
I absolutely agree. Darius wins pretty much every 2v2 matchup, which means counter-ganking for Darius is exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
Which is why I have to credit Score's pathing so heavily. Amazing was there first, but Score took a really clever path and was able to get a counter-gank from Origin's side of the map, which is why Origin was willing to engage on it because they did not expect Score to be there.
You almost think they should. Knowing the Scuttle was there, seeing him clear the pixel brush, and then not disappearing through Scuttle. Had a pathing somewhere down towards that bot lane, but like you said, OG not ready for it. Now still trying to produce their own results here towards the top. 3v2 in this situation. Score very far off. Teleport down on both mid and top. Will they be able to get Arrow on this one? The Cocoon flashed out by Arrow. Nicely done there, and KT just kind of saunters out of that one.
You can see how Origin, both Mythy and Amazing, are trying to save the skill shot, wait for that flash to happen. One of them landed onto Peekaboo, and then the next one, Arrow, could just flash away from it. We might see a counter gank.
They may not have seen that ward placed there during the fight.
No, definitely not. So Score is spotted. They have full information on where he is. Origin might try and bait this one because Arrow is so low and with no summoners at all.
No heal. Would they be willing? Niels is also low,
Very
so they
low.
might just decide.
Boom on 2 members.
They decide not to. Honestly, even though Origin is actually even in gold right here, I have to credit a lot of the way KT has been playing this game. The way Arrow and Peekaboo dodged that gank, despite not being in position at the beginning when the gank arrived, the discipline they had on when to use their flash and escape summoner spells avoided what would have been certain death for a lot of other duos.
Sure, we're seeing some good decisions. Again, fight down the bottom lane. Someday walks into his minion wave. He's against double skill shot champions when it comes to the Cocoon from Amazing and obviously most of the damage from Soaz. And he just dances around the minions, barely takes anything. Rek'Sai joins in. It's a lot easier to execute that 2v2 on the side of KT, which they did. Now we see the lanes swapped around. Bottom lane's going down to get some of the control on the bottom side near the dragon. And that means because Origin is slightly faster, they could go in and get a few deep wards. That is very, very key for them. KT not been able to mirror it and do it the same. So good little change from Origin being a bit faster, recalling.
Yeah. KT has a teleport advantage for another 40 seconds as far as top laners are concerned. Also, that's an advantage for Someday. Oh, he actually caught him with the Uttering the Decimate, which is what Soaz wants to avoid, obviously.
Definitely not becoming an easy lane after your opponent becomes 6 as Kennen. Usually ultimates stop him from getting any kills on you, or he can already do enough damage. That's what Soaz is dealing with. Went Sork boots first, so he's looking to participate in the fights, hopefully. Not really worried about that matchup for Someday. Nagne getting the blue in mid lane. Good pink coverage on the side of KT to keep things safe in that sense.
Looking at what Amazing is doing, because they had that full vision of KT taking the blue buff, he knows it's very easy for him to just path over on the top side, steal away a buff for himself. Doesn't have any ward sadly for him to place, but at least he takes a buff away from KT, so just taking a small advantage. That's again because they recall first on the top side. He might even be able to sneak in behind Someday. He doesn't expect this one.
Got it. Misses the Cocoon, though, so Someday still has flash. He's going to want to get to the Baron Wall before the stun.
Looks like he's actually going to have Nagne on his side as well before Peke can make it across. Very nicely done. They also know the pink ward now in mid. A bit of a help there to give themselves some more control. Mythy and Niels trying to push up here in this bot lane, but Peekaboo's been hitting these taunts, then the chompers every time. It's just enough, and that was a great lantern to avoid so much damage for Niels.
And Niels has gone Sheen, though, so he wants to be able to trade back in a lot of those scenarios, and he's actually not worried about kill threat. Nagne snuck in thanks to the ward that Someday got while Amazing was counter-jungling.
Oh! Call that the point of origin. When you're standing right on the stun usually does not hit you. Cocoon missed there. Amazing goes down right to the top side. They are just obliterating this half of the map as now we see Soaz go down. And Nagne actually uses this for a chance to go hard as well on Peke.
Some big problems for Origin here, not communicating properly. We saw Nagne move from the mid lane. It was pinged by Xpeke all the way. And Amazing started the Grump. So he just sat there, he waited for Nagne to show up. ends up dying, and then Shen backs away from the bottom lane. Instantly, we see a play on top side from KT. They get 2 kills for it. Some miscommunication from Origin in this early game, and you can't afford to do that.
Yeah, especially against KT, because we can see how aptly they capitalize on the smallest opening.
Yeah.
When they killed Amazing, they also knew it was safe for Peekaboo to abandon bot lane since the jungle gank was not going to come, and there's no way Arrow was punished by that. So they take one play and pretty much half a second later turn it into a second play in order to get 2 kills.
And really the key thing for KT is the fact that what beat them last time, the 1-3-1 split push that could pick them off with Twisted Fate and so on over and over. That's going to be in favor of KT in this game. Because you have the Diana now, we have Darius in the top lane, you have Shen support. There's so many good globals and split pushing opportunities versus Origin, so they will have to take the team fights against you where KT normally shines so much.
It's not going to get any easier from here on out for Origin. We already saw a difficulty to adapt in the last game versus LGD. Now it seems that KT may have their number as well. So as very afraid to go out past that. It's kind of 75% farm mark on the side of Someday. So he stays, waits for the turret, and gets himself a little bit more coverage on the top side. Pings towards the bottom. They are going to meet back to the bottom lane. Possible teleport play being pinged out here. And then Dragon for KT Rolster.
They have all teleports up in the entire game.
That's true.
Which,
it would be it would be pretty bloody.
Which can set up some really explosive fights. It's also really important to try and get a pick elsewhere to force a teleport, then you can get those advantages. This is what they call the third teleport. Rek'Sai coming in for Soaz.
It's not a farm alarm, ladies and gentlemen. It's the kill alarm, and it is going to be Soaz 0, 3, and 0. Going to have to use that teleport to get back to lane.
Look here, the Origin trying to make a play on the bottom side. If they go for a kill, Darius can TP in then.
Don't know if he's close enough to it. The box goes out to slow Someday down. They're almost forced to go towards the turret a little bit first, and Origin gets completely caught out as soon as KT has the teleport advantage.
Another mistake from Origin right here. Beautiful play from KT. They invest Rek'Sai's ulti to get a kill on top. So they know, okay, Source is dead, he cannot TP down to the bottom lane.
Yep.
And suddenly Origin decides we're gonna push on the tower. Obviously KT has now the advantage with teleport on 2 members. Instantly join in, pick up more kills, take the mid lane tower, can now rotate Arrow to mid lane if they want to, or even top, take down another one, and really get out of control.
I think they are out of control right now.
Absolutely.
And this is a perfect example of what we call an arms race as far as global skills are concerned. Origin has been getting their advantages by outmaneuvering people around the map. So both sides have double teleport, but KT also has Rek'Sai and Shen. In killing the Kennen, they then know Someday can teleport uninhibited, and Origin just fails to account for that teleport threat. Someday didn't have to burn anything for that initial spell. Origin only has 2 globals. KT essentially brings 4. So when they take out one from Origin, they just have even more advantage, and it's not like Origin is even equipped to attack the weak points of having a global team comp, because they themselves are also running a global team comp. KT took what Origin was doing, but they're doing it better.
And now one of the ways you normally will play against like 4 globals from KT is that you have a team fight composition with a lot of engage, a lot of tools of saying we can group mid right now, engage on Diana, or whoever's sitting there defending, kill him, take the tower, and force them to abandon the split push and get in there to defend.
Right.
But Origin is running very much a pick composition when you look at jungle and support, and then flanking from that Kennen. That is not hard engage in any way possible.
Yeah. And how do you flank a team where everyone can teleport on the map, aside from the Jinx, who gets to shoot a Super Mega Death Rocket as well?
Oh, Peekaboo onto the turret. That's going to be amazing. The repel, nicely used to get himself to safety. It looked scary for a second, but it was okay for Origin. Arrow keeps himself safe. He does have to flash away from that slicing maelstrom with Soaz to get himself to safety. Mid turret, however, going to be taking some damage. Nagne now coming up as well to assist on that. Looking at the cooldowns of Someday's and Nagne's teleport. Should be all right to have those up soon. And actually now mismatched once again with Soaz and Peke as they just made a move to the top side.
Origin needs to be careful. 5 members are going to show up.
That's a long run. They have so far to go down this lane, and right up the river is coming Someday and Nagne, a wall of death that OG is about to be running into. The Voidooz tries to slow them down, but it's not going to be enough. Soaz breaks off, takes the low road. Niels tries to stay on the high road, and neither are going to work on this one.
Unless Origin is staying grouped up, they are not allowed to be that far up on the map. KT is just taking these free kills all across the map right now. It's just like candy everywhere.
Pick it up. Pick it up and eat it up. 202 across Nagne and Arrow.
It is so
Rest of the
easy
team
for
playing
KT.
amazing.
It is so easy for KT to manufacture a numbers advantage if Origin isn't sticking together or near a turret. And that's exactly what we're seeing here because Origin is consistently pushing up beyond their safety zone and they're not grouping.
Right. Look how many forward wards they actually had for that. Pretty much in tri-brush. Didn't know that really anybody was coming up the river until it was too late. Now into the mid, a good play by Mithy. They may have Nagne for a kill, but Score will pop them up, deny the damage, and they just have the right composition to get out of a sticky situation.
And again, for Origin's comp here, if they played, or if their early game had gone way different, they'd maybe at least been even. They could very easily have gone mid lane with, of course, Niels with Peck. They start sieging in, land a hook, land a cocoon, and set up a kill, and force KT back with a relatively low wave clear. Yeah. But because now they've been punished by these mistakes and not communicating properly, listening to each other, and then all these globals happening, you start falling behind, and then suddenly your comp just more or less falls apart. Right, that siege is not going to happen.
As almost as Jab was discussing earlier, the junglers now have to mirror each other. Beyond that, the game has to mirror each other with teleports on both sides. The one who gets the upper hand in that continues to run the upper hand.
And just kind of as a larger meta discussion, I don't think we're going to get time to get into this one.
Of course,
this fight
they'll
happens.
fight as soon as you start talking.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons the teams that haven't had strong early games have struggled more heavily than usual at Worlds is because of this double teleport meta that has taken over. Once you do get ahead with this strategy, if you know how to pull it off, there is almost no coming back aside from being ridiculously creative or having a completely different stylistic team composition. But if both teams are willing to go with a heavy double teleport strat, the early game is king.
And the problem is when you bring 2 teleports to the fight, and the other team then brings 4 teleports to the fight, in this case with Rek'Sai and Shen, you're always going to be outnumbered in the early game when it comes to taking that early advantage. So grouping is the only way for Origin to win, and they're trying to get Arrow again, but it's not going to work.
That is the worst feeling in the world as a Kennen player, just on the edge of slicing Maelstrom. The AD carry is able to avoid it with a summoner heal. The rocket flies by, but it's already 2 members down for Origin, and they are losing ground fast in the mid lane.
Desperation calls for Origin. Just trying to get a kill.
Yeah.
Never really a backup plan or plan B to get out after you've gone for that kill.
Generally in the camp, it's better to lose fast than to lose slow, so Origin may be taking the first option.
Nagne a little too hard there going in.
This could be a turnaround.
Gets him killed. What are they doing? KT way too ahead of themselves on this one. Score's going to get hit up. Mithy with hook in just a few seconds. 2-1. Does he make it happen? They're going to hold it. Try and just get the play in. He flash plays. Doesn't need to hook. They want to completely secure everything in this one. 4 kills on KT.
That is actually a massive turnaround because not only did they kill 4 people, they killed bounties of extra gold from KT. They were losing this game awfully, but
you're right.
That also the kills went on to Cogmod,
bounty,
which is huge. This game was out of control. Now it's 2,000 to 3,000. Origin's actually still in it.
Just when you talk about how this game should be almost impossible for Origin to win.
Oh my goodness.
KT's like,
Origin
let's dive one by one, guys.
Let's make the impossible possible.
Oh, Nils, yeah, you want some kills?
All right, let's see this again.
Yeah.
Nagne was in.
Yeah. So KT already had 2 people dead, so they thought it was a safe dive. But he takes turret aggro before the team is willing to follow up. And then Niels just comes in the backside of the fight.
And let's just remember, we were only 18 minutes into the game. Diving a tower when you don't have any armor yet.
Well, they also didn't have Darius. One of the ultimate turret dive cleanups. Niels based after this fight with 2,500 gold. So he's got a few. He's got a few good
rush as well.
Sure. Even with that, they're still 3,000 gold down. But now they have a chance.
Scratching back, definitely grabbing the first rung of the ladder in a necessary climb. They got 3 needlessly large rods to help as well coming out of the base before and after that fight.
And they finally get a chance to group now in the mid lane because there's no teleports on the side of KT. So there is at least a small opening to get together as a unit, try and push up, have Source even with his teleport, take one of the side lanes and see if you can get any vision into the jungle of KT. Otherwise, you're still just going to be pushed so far back on the map that it's just a matter of time before KT has the cooldowns ready once again to enable the 1-3-1 and do exactly the same as before.
See what moves KT is trying to put on the table. Nagne now back down to the bot lane. This teleport not up soon. These are some days, but they're definitely playing around that for sure. Score into the jungle as well, making sure that Nagne has a nice defensive wall of wards to play with here so he can get out in any amount of time to make himself safe. Baron is alive. Start to see wards towards that area, but like we saw on that turret dive, nobody's really strong enough to be taking down those. So no Baron just yet.
I'd like to see Origin be more aggressive now in this mid lane here, because you know there's no TP on the side of Nagne and Someday. So as long as they just sit back and defend against them and Source doesn't get caught by Someday right here, you know you can push up mid. And it's at least a 3v3, but you can even get your members to join in and have a 5v3.
Well,
or you can get caught out.
I think the Black Cleaver is giving him the move speed, and that's a dead Soaz.
Great buy on the Merc Treads. Did not stun him for enough time. Someday comes in, kills Soaz. OG a little late to the top side party as Someday getting much, much bigger. Is killing Soaz much, much faster. 6-0-2 for him. He has been having a fantastic tournament.
There's actually been a lot of talk about who is the best Korean top laner here. Is it Someday or is it Marin? Both of them are playing absolutely out of their minds.
I think you can add in Smep, another top laner who's really been showing up in this tournament here. So all 3 Korean top laners.
All right, they're pretty good.
They're decent.
Well, some of it does speak to the style of the way Korean League of Legends had been played even before Worlds. We talk so much about how this meta is unique, which it is, but even before this, top laners in Korea were getting a significantly higher number of resources from their team than any other region. So they're already accustomed to doing this sort of thing, and beyond the early game, the mid game and the late game is still formulating in somewhat the same way, and they're very comfortable having kind of these top lane carries, and they're very practiced in doing so.
And even when the dynamic changes, we see Arrow carrying on Mord previously earlier. These guys can switch it up with who's really pulling the hard carry. Nagne as well stepped up for the team, so all across the board, it's going to be very hard to put a dent in KT Rolster. Going for Dragon, that is going to be number 1 for them, number 2 of the game, as Origin has already grabbed one themselves.
If somehow Origin could get a 4v5 or a 4v4 that didn't involve Darius or Soaz, the game is basically even. It's a 2,700 gold lead that Someday has over Soaz at this point in the game. Of course he has teleport and he has no reason to burn it though, so that's actually kind of an impossibility. It would be nice though.
That's a free
That's
strategy.
When I feel Origin,
and then take the gold back.
if you're KT, you're not gonna make the same mistake you made earlier, going for that 1 versus 1 or whatever dive was.
Which was without Darius as well.
Okay, no Darius, you're right, he didn't join in. But for now for KT, keep pushing your side lanes like you're doing right now. We saw what happened last time Source, but even close to Someday, completely destroyed. Even had to flash away but didn't survive in the end because the ulti followed him and killed him. KT can start setting up pings around Baron. Already bought them. You can see 2 guys coming from base, Arrow and Peekaboo. And you know what? You just have another way now of baiting a potential fight, or you take a free Baron.
OG can still bring out the brush. I know it's a Fnatic brush, but it has to be in the playbook. Get it a brush, make it happen, get a bushwhack fight, and just surprise KT. Not really a team you want to group up on, so if you can get somebody like Arrow first, it would be the best. KT, however, moving too good around the map right now, getting everything they want, and wards in place, so OG can't even enter a brush without KT knowing right now. Amazing. Trying to force Peekaboo out, but there's not much they can do. 1 sweeper there, but you can see he still has 3 around that area, and these sweepers aren't upgraded yet.
Yeah, it's so hard when you're working on these low gold incomes when you're behind to want to upgrade the sweeper, but it's absolutely necessary if they want to have any type of safety when pushing up, because one of the... Oh! Woo! They might still go for it. He had to respect the flash from Score, which is why Neos flashed away early. And there's Someday.
Someday is walking around in wards right now, but they can't do much about it. Just leave this guy be right now. He goes up towards the top side. No flashes need to be burned there other than Niels to get out of the fight. But there were some ults, 4 ults, and Nagne's TP was used.
Yeah, the TP is actually really critical because that means they can't threaten his split push as much and can give Origin a small chance of grouping up. Additionally, the other thing that's stopping Origin from grouping up as 5 is the fact that they don't have the upgraded sweepers and can't clear vision behind them,
With
which
two
gives
on the
them,
other side.
and which makes them completely open to flank teleports if they do group up as 5.
Sure.
Now they kind of have a bit of a window.
It's also just for Origin the fact that if they ever move forward, even if you have all the sweepers in the world, you're just going to see Nagne and Someday run from their lanes. They push so far down through the jungle, Origin have to just appear behind them anyway. So like there's so many ways for KT to flank as long as they have the side lane control, meaning that Origin has to catch someone out in this mid lane among the 3 guys. Peke is completely out of mana, and here's 2 guys coming.
And there's Shen. Goodbye.
So, Origin reaching a little bit for resources here. Possibly a finished item for Peke as what would
Stalled
come
this
from
pretty well.
this.
That wasn't a
Kill
stall,
on the
though.
top
Oh
lane.
my
OG
god.
is going to go for the Baron. No, they peel off. It's going to be on Nagne now. The exhaust goes down early. That gives him time to kill Niels if he actually wants to dive back in. He gets hooked when he tries to go for the Lunar Rush. Nagne is definitely going to go down here. The teleports to the top side now as KT is trying to get into this area and make this fight theirs. They do so. Nagne goes down and 3 are dead from Origin.
I think it's safe to say that Nagne is playing much better than he did last week. I also think it's safe to
Come on,
say that
that
Soaz is having a terrible game for him right now. He is not recovering or playing well from behind right here. And it was an interesting move here by Origin. They thought they were going to force the Baron while Pekka was getting caught, but Nagne just ended those dreams. They're teleporting in on a Lantern, too!
Little Lantern out. Soaz can't really get himself to the back line. Will a smite come in? Will a hit happen? Score does get the Baron. And
Actually
now
a good call by
Soaz,
Fnatic.
He's
Or
going to
by
have to
Origin.
push himself
Almost
out.
saved.
Someday
Oh,
goes
no.
down. Double kill coming in for Niels. Can he get some living artillery in for sight and a catch? They don't even want it. They've got what they needed here. A few kills. Hopefully they can stop the Baron, but it's still on 3 members of KT.
Yeah, and we still just see how far ahead KT is here. 3 guys can go down to the bottom lane and get a kill, and you can still stop the Baron at first. 1 guy just killing Soaz with Nagne jumping in, taking out, and then the rest can just return.
For being 0-7, that was a really good play by Soaz to get some return kills and even more kills on Niels. Also, I thought I was going to make it and not call Origin Fnatic by accident when I see Soaz and Peke at Worlds. But I saw Soaz teleporting in at Worlds, and I thought it was Fnatic. I failed.
Yeah, you only had an entire year to realize.
I failed. Well, it's Worlds.
That's all right.
It
I had
is
Super
Worlds.
Hot Royal
So
Club
used to
last
see
year.
it.
Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, so teleporting on the Lantern, classic good play.
Pull them out. So they're stuck here, taking a lot of damage from the Baron. Again, it's the best Origin can get here. There's no smite for them. But just get a few kills, get more gold for Niels. He's really the guy getting everything. The problem is he just never gets the chance to sit and deal damage because 2 or 3 guys are coming in from different sides and they always just jump straight on him and take him down as fast as possible.
Still quite an effective Baron. If Nagne has it, he can kid himself on those side lanes. Someday did lose it, so that won't help as much. And the teleports are down on both sides now, and they're not timed with KT's side. OG kind of working with the same timers, so they may be able to make another big play. But right now, get a lull. 13 seconds until Dragon. I think this is easily going to be KT's. See Origin cleaning up some resources in their own jungle.
And we just need to see Origin basically say the only way for us to get back into this game right now is to create a pick. So we need to get some pink wards into our own jungle.
The only way, yeah.
And try and simply create some sort of shadows in there where KT might run through and get caught out. Because in the open lanes, KT can see everything. They always know Source is at his tier 2 tower. They know Peke is at his tier 2 tower on the bottom lane. So they are never going to be surprising KT at any point. So it's about Amazing and Mythy, who creates a trap in their own jungle. And when Peekaboo walks in like he's doing now, you catch him out and kill him, and you buy yourself some time.
And this is so great. Score top. Score has ult up. He can farm alarm down to the Dragon even if necessary, but doesn't need to. KT just grabs the Dragon. They had everything in place if the fight were to even happen for a 5v4.
So many different people on KT can pull off this split pushing job. This is
It's
like,
crazy.
This is the ultimate split push team.
Now towards the mid lane. This turret, they dove under a little too hard last time. A little trial and error. They take it down first before going past it. And now the outer ring of turrets getting beat up very hard on the side of Origin. Looks like the bottom lane is the focus with the Baron being and Dragon being down. It's all about the turrets.
That small little opening Origin had where they didn't manage to catch Peekaboo when he cleared out the ward is now gone because KT has moved in with every single member. They've taken over the jungle. So we are looking at basically a tower dive for KT going wrong.
Right.
That Origin can punish a second time to buy more time. But because KT made that mistake at first, I think they've said, okay, guys, we don't have to be over-aggressive. We can keep just playing it fairly safe like we've done for most of the game outside of that one play.
Yeah, and that one mistake stalls the game out substantially. During the regular season, even just looking at Peekaboo games, KT played longer games than most in the LCK, who already played kind of slow games. So they made that mistake, but they haven't been the best team at actually winning games quickly. They've had pretty solid secures. Once they get a lead, they often don't lose it, but they definitely don't know how to do it very quickly, which does leave them somewhat open to potential counterplays. In this game, while 30 minutes in, with KT having control throughout most of the game, is still only a 5,000 gold lead. And the later this game gets, the less relevant 5,000 gold becomes.
So wards just outside of the sweeping range. Do you see what KT is trying to put in here? Origin will know they have flank wards on their shoulders left and right, so they're trying to set up pinks to stop this from happening. Peke, pretty much the only one that can continue to laser clear and keep away from Nagne here in a full burst death. Now trying to hold the bot lane.
And remember, KT can have Shen sitting in mid and just use that ulti on Nagne if he jumps in onto Peke, who has no defensive tools, no hourglass or anything. Mithy's trying to get Arrow here.
Is there anybody to give the lantern to, though? Nobody can come in. Arrow gets immediately Peekaboo on his back, flashes forward for the taunt. Soaz goes down. And Mithy, I think they were trying to deter KT from taking it and weren't ready for a fight. And KT wanted a fight. Now inside the base of Origin. That's going to be another dunk down. The apprehend misses amazing. Someday almost living, but goes down to a Cathy surprise. And that's going to be one last shot. It's the laser just burning out the keels of Arrow.
And you know what? That's another 3 for 3. Even though it's such an advantage for KT, Someday went deep, Arrow followed, and they don't lose much outside of a bit of split push pressure on this map. It should have been huge for KT, but again, Origin managed to pick up 3 kills on the backside.
Nils using the passive really well, getting that kill onto Someday just before. And really just for Origin, they managed to sneak in behind KT, even though it should almost be impossible for Mithy to get in here and land that first hook, but there's no follow-up for him.
Soaz literally cannot move past Darius without dying. So I don't think that was a good flank by Mithy because there's no way Soaz actually follows up on that play. From there, he gets Noxy and Might, which means one spell land gets 5 bleed stacks, which is why Someday saw this kill on Niels and said he could go for it. 1Q, auto, ultimate.
Blam!
But he continues to tank the turret, and so does Arrow.
Someday could easily walk out of that one,
Look
but really...
Mithy walk too. 2 pink wards just sitting there. They had no right to be in their own jungle.
And that was the thing, Mithy didn't need Soaz to do anything. He needed both Niels and Amazing to be able to follow him in there when they made that pick, get that first kill onto Arrow, because what KT did wrong, small thing still, they gave up the mid lane pressure by moving Arrow to the side lane and joined Darius to take down that tower. So that allowed Origin to say, okay, we can leave mid lane as well with our 3 guys because there's no one who's going to push it other than just the support Shen. So we can move up and look for that one pick. Problem was Niels and Amazing were not with Mithy. So even though they caught him, they didn't kill him. And instead trade 3 for 3. Still good enough for Origin, but they also lost the tower.
I love when teams, sometimes so far ahead, it makes it a lot easier for them. Just keep adding on to the effect they're trying to do with the game. Split pushing, the banner of command now out. Another lane they can kind of leave to itself now. And KT just has so many variables to work with here to get themselves even closer to OG's base.
It's 2 AP champions that are defending side lanes for Origin. Banner of command says, well, you're not going to clear this minion. So suddenly Origin will have even less ways of stopping that split push from happening.
Yeah, to me, this is the proper use of double Aegis. You upgrade them both into the different items. So they still get the Locket Shield, they also get the split pushing, but they're forcing Baron. And this is actually finally KT grouped up. If Origin has a chance, it's right here.
Looking for Niels, he's staying on the backside. Nagne does hit his first Crescent Strike, but nobody is going to get the Lunar Rush to follow. They pull off, and they're going to say, we have you routed to your own base. They don't have a big minion wave on the top side, but it's enough to go for an inhibitor. They want the fight, however, in the jungle. They have this completely warded, and Origin is looking at darkness right now, and is why they cannot enter.
So good move from KT, pulling away, not risking that big 5-on-5 and try and force Origin to move away. There's no minions pushing down towards Origin, so they can safely stay. Might even be able to get some damage on mid tower. Next wave is coming just behind Nils.
One of the first times their bot lane hasn't been in their face. This is a good push by OG in the mid lane.
Yeah.
What can they make of it?
I don't think they can make much, but they can buy more time. The big misplay there by KT Rolster is they didn't prep a side lane when 5-manning the Baron. This entire game they've been running Origin around and never letting Origin have even numbers, but for that moment they gave them even numbers.
Good Lantern out. Great ultimate to get out of Peekaboo.
And they also lost Dragon Pressure. This is another thing Origin could be able to
flank
do.
them.
Soaz can flank it. Would be another 5v5.
Score.
Oh, they peel off. Niels is caught a bit.
Not able to do much. Everybody holding their breath on this one, seeing if the catch actually happens, but they're going to have to concede Dragon once again. Watch that go down. It's only 3-1 in Dragons. After this, it starts to get a little bit hairy, but it's still about the Baron. Now that it's spawned again, does KT get both Barons in this game, or can Origin stop this?
So once again, the side lanes are not in favor of KT, at least not for a while down the bottom lane.
Yeah.
So once again, Origin can move in and stop this Baron.
KT is still stronger, but this is the chance for Origin. They are all grouped up. You'd expect them to go.
It was given. Now all 5 members are going to be Baroned up. They can play whatever lanes they want. Lantern is out, so everybody on the front line has to be very safe of their positioning. Soaz going to be seen coming around here. That is not where he wants to be. He's wanted the flank to Fishio. You said it was going to be near impossible, and that could be a pop-up. If Score gets in range, he cannot tunnel in. Flayed back by Mithy. Things do not look like they're going well. Ever so slowly, Origin keeps getting slowed. They finally lose 1 member, but Nagne also went down in that fight.
Pekka got a solo kill off the screen here. But once again, KT, they go back to start the Baron. Origin couldn't move in time to stop it. And then they have this problem where they have to run away. They can't really see where KT is moving. Soaz walks straight into Someday. Ends up staying alive, though, due to another good lantern from Mithy.
This is turning into a really weird game because KT had such a massive lead in the early game, and we were expecting with their multitude of globals to be able to close this out very quickly. But every once in a while, they just keep dying when they're going to be making a power play. Nagne really overcommits for that. When he doesn't land his Q or his R on Peke, uses all of his damage in order to gap close.
Yeah.
And Peke still hurts. Like, that was a really bad play by Nagne.
Sorry to say it,
Peke wouldn't respect the fight and walk out, right?
You need more than just your ulti as a Diana to kill someone 1v1.
Like, what does he think he's going to do? He uses his Q and the first ultimate on a minion.
But I'm seeing greed from KT right here. First, again, abandon mid lane, send the Jinx to topside to take that tower faster than they had to. They could slowly just chip it down because Darius was 3 levels above Kennen in that top lane, allowed Origin to go in and try and trade for some kills, maybe catch them out. Now start Baron with no side lane pushing at first. Again, buys time for Origin to get out of their base, get grouping, get some minion waves, get some jungle camps. So they have allowed Origin to get something, at least, in a situation where Origin weren't really supposed to do anything.
Yeah, and when we do get team fights, if we do, so much of this will be on whether or not Niels gets instantly blown up. He has gone such an aggressive build right now, just completing his Infinity Edge. There's no Mikhails anywhere, and there is a Death Cap Diana on the other side versus no magic resist on Niels. If a Crescent Strike lands from Nagne onto Niels' Kog'Maw, I think he's dead.
Yeah, it's bad news
unless
bears.
Mithy would basically have to flay him out of the Lunar Rush in order to keep him alive, which is possible because Mithy's really strong. I also don't even expect that to fully happen because this is now KT with the Baron buff, able to put up strong split push, and they're using their weakest members to split push, the jungler and the support. When have we seen this? This is the perfect 2 people to have on the side lanes. It makes it so hard for Origin to engage on any of these waves.
Doesn't look like they can do much. Watching their turret go from just 100 to 10%. A little bit of a hit on Peekaboo, but there's no kill going into Shen from Soaz. He just deters the bot lane damage.
So I would much prefer Someday to sit in one of these side lanes because he can get up and hit the tower. He's tanky enough to do it, and he has Peekaboo to help him. Peekaboo is just sitting on his bottom side, not doing anything really other than pushing in a wave. They have to go for this tower now, though. Arrow can take it down so quickly. Look for Origin to try and catch him out with some sort of skill shot.
Not enough minions to get himself back in, but the minions definitely aren't coming out of the base either. They are going to bring up Peekaboo now.
Yeah.
Looks like everybody towards the mid lane. This is going to be all or nothing onto this turret. OG has to be ready. We're talking about if Niels gets hit up, it's going to be eyes from Mithy on him with that face of the mountain and the shield from the locket.
These are the moments you either use your base gates or you use the home guard teleport because they know they're coming in. Soaz was actually recalling a little late, but he's now in home guard teleport position. Will he trigger it?
He's gonna have to.
So far
He's going way far back here. Could go to the right, but it would deter KT right away.
There he is.
He still can't flash in.
Fire
That's
arrow.
gonna be the ult on Arrow. The cleanse gets himself out very far. He's gonna be safe. Score is forced to flash. Nagne, Zanya's right in front, but the inhibitor turns down. Can the team give him the attack that's necessary to win this fight? 3 members of OG fall immediately. Soaz could not do enough damage. The spread of KT on the slicing Maelstrom was too good. It's like they expected it.
The 0-8 cannon flank is unfortunately not the deadliest. It was a nice effort there because he landed the ultimate on many. But at the end of the day, they did enough damage to the backline. Origin couldn't finish this off, and it looks like KT is going to get first in the group.
First in the group. OG coming out 3-0. KT with a falter in the first week, but they patch things up. They get eyes on the prize. They figure out how to take down Origin from the get-go.
Niels.
24-15. Niels trying to have one more thing to say about it, but it's all about Arrow. Eyes on the Nexus. You're not going to be able to stop that. And KT take first place in Group D.
Niels very nearly killed everyone at the very end there, but KT, what a day they've had. 3-0, going from second place to first place in the group.
And Origin really needs to look at this early game now. Fell behind in the first game of the day versus Team Solomed. Fell behind versus LGD, couldn't come back. Fell behind to KT, couldn't come back either. They're just getting pushed so far down, they cannot use their own double teleport they were so good at using in the first week. That gets completely shut down because they fall so far behind early on. It's KT this time who can just split push all the way to the victory.
For better or for worse, I'd say it's a good thing you played your best and your worst in group stages. You know what to work on, you know where the flaws lie. These things can hopefully be patched up now.
Yeah, and the important thing for Origin is that they're moving on. The important thing for KT is they're moving on and don't have to play SKT right away.
That's the better. That's the better. The worst is the second place SKT face-off.
And SKT really is the only team we have seen at Worlds so far where we can say these guys are consistently fantastic to watch. They make so few mistakes and they punish whatever mistake you make. Every other team we have seen problems, things you could punish. Origin showed some today, but KT of course showed up big time and deserved to get #1 in the group.
They really did. Nagne, after having a week where definitely heard on social media that people were saying, oh, weaker link, completely stepping up, showing us the season Nagne from the regular splits.
I'm still looking at Someday though.
Oh,
on this
of course.
team here. Every single game he plays, the decisions he's making, I'm not even gonna just praise his mechanics.
That's true.
The brain
it
he has,
deserves to be
like,
talked about in the
yeah,
top lane.
the way he reads the game, the way in these lane swaps, he always managed to be at the right position. He never gets caught out. He never gets killed on the tower or anything. He always backs away, maximizes farm and experience. And then he just have these moves where he's sitting and waiting in bushes and the Sora sneaks up on him and he just kills him instantly. And it further increases how far ahead KT gets in the game and how hard it is for Soras to get back in the game.
An incredible amount of wards kept KT ahead in that one. You look at their inventories right now, full upgraded sweepers, full upgraded trinkets, unless you're Arrow, and you have the scrying orb. But they had those sweepers so early. We saw it when we were talking about OG clearing 1 ward, but they had 3 more around it. Already had those sweepers to play the game in the way that KT wanted. You can't win the game if you can't see anything.
Yeah,
it's kind of fundamental.
A lot of split push pressure. Like that type of team composition is really difficult to execute well. And
you're getting pulled in every direction.
It creates a lot of creativity. 4 different people that are capable of filling the split push niche.
And then score 30 minutes in.
You need to be able to keep track of all that. Like, where's the central shot calling? How well are they communicating together? There were slight slip-ups when they were trying to pull the trigger. A lot of greed, as Deficio was saying. But ultimately, it's because they were so far ahead.
And Origin had a lot of problems early on when it came to communicating as a team. Again, we saw like Nagne leaving lane. He was paying the amazing stays in the jungle, dies. Whenever the teleport was available for KT, Origin wouldn't respect it and still go for a play in the early game and get punished. That was really what set KT so far ahead because they were better communication. And of course, double the amount of globals also help. Can we just highlight how fantastic it is to see a composition versus a team that are so good at running double TP?
So like you could theoretically fit more globals on the team. You could put like Shen top lane with
80
teleport.
carry TF.
Get Tom Kench. You could have put like, you could do those things. But that would actually be bad because you'd be way too committed to one specific thing. And even if Origin had picked more of a teamfight composition without teleports actually, they would have been better prepared to deal with the massive globals because they were completely behind in that arms race, and KT crushed them.
Well, KT Crush get first place in the group. Right now, Shox is standing by with one of our winners. So let's check in with her in the interview lounge.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm joined here by Peekaboo, who is going to do this in English, so bear with us. Very glad he is willing to do that. First up, congratulations.
Thank you.
First seed in the group. First, tell me about your strategy in this game. You were moving around a lot on the map.
Last game we played with Origin, and we thought we were gonna win this game, but the final we missed Baron calls and then we missed ordering and landing swap, so we lost, and I got really angry about that. So I tried to focus on that what we did wrong, and yeah, that's why we can win Origin, because we did really practice well and we tried to get win. So that's my strategy, and I try to keep our teammates to get really easy on game. So I keep moving around and roamed. So that's my play style. So well, that was a good things to move.
Yeah, very good strategy, and it worked versus OG. In the end, Origin also still showed some good moves, some good shot calling. How do you think Origin can do in the rest of this World Championship?
Origin is a really good team, I think. Maybe Fnatic and Origin is the best Europe team in this world, so maybe Origin can go like a final, maybe if they come, and yeah, so.
If they recover from this loss versus you guys.
Yeah.
You guys played great throughout the group stage, first seed. First, I want to ask you something about Imp, because I heard that you guys are really good friends, and it's because they won the last game that you guys were also able to secure the first seed. You're going to give him a big thank you.
Yeah, thanks for Imp, because if we win Origin, we need to play against one more time, so I'd like to thank Imp, and I love you, Imp.
Ah, well, there you go. He'll be happy to hear that now.
Yeah.
Finally, first seed, fantastic play so far. I heard that before the World Championship started, you said that SKT could win the whole thing, or maybe you guys. You guys are already really good, but what do you think you have to improve on the most to be able to make that happen?
But nothing to say, but I just need to focus on what I'm doing, because I really made a lot of mistakes during these seasons and during the game. So I need to keep more hard about myself, and I just need to keep carrying our teammates. So that's the point, I think.
Okay, well, team has been doing incredible since you joined that lineup. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for doing this in English.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. KT, the first seed. Back to you guys. Fantastic.
Thank you, Shox. Congratulations to Peekaboo and the rest of the team. A much-deserved first seed there after a tremendous day today. Zyrene, it looks like you got something.
I want to talk about
on.
Peekaboo really quickly, because that guy has an incredible work ethic. And when he said that they lost the game and they were really angry, when Peekaboo says that, it means he's playing his heart out every day. He's the guy who was on SKT, an elite team, and they said, you know what, we're going to bench you for a little bit, have you recover. And he was like, I'm bouncing, guys. I still want to play. I don't want to recover. I want to keep working. And he jumped to a different team. He got picked up by KT, and you saw their season completely turn around. So Peekaboo's putting in that work. And even there, he just left #1 seed of the group. He's like, I still had mistakes. I need to clean my play up. I need to get better. In my opinion, that's what I see as a world champion mentality and a worlds type player. This guy definitely elevates the teams that he's on, but he's not blaming other people. He's always looking at himself and making himself better. And I think huge shout out there to Peekaboo for that.
Well, that's a great endorsement there for Peekaboo.
Oh, I think it's incredible. And it shows in his play, too.
And everyone agrees. Let's look at the rest of the team, though, because it's not just Peekaboo on this team. I want to look at the rest of the team that was a part of this 3-0 performance on the day.
Let's look at their top laner for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think we've seen a carry top laner like this for quite some time. And watching Someday, you heard the guys on the desk, like his decision-making's good, his mechanics are fantastic, but his team fight impact and how intimidating it is to play against someone this far in your face as an AD carry is just amazing. And he's in a group with like Niels, he's in a group with Imp, these players that are supposed to be absolutely gods in their roles, and he hasn't had a bad game. Like, Someday is well and truly a rove on the world stage. He was the MVP of the LCK, and so far, he's been by far the best top laner in this world.
I think it's very important to highlight, though, like, in this game, KT, like, they played out, it looked kind of similar to the first game against Origin. They had the advantage on Someday, but this time they kind of pushed it to further limits. But we also saw some slip-ups when they kept, like, diving these turrets and kind of overdove in a way, like once in the mid lane where Nagne kind of jumped in, and then that one time in the top lane where they just dove, and like I think Arrow died as well. I think like the late game and mid game decision making still needs some fine tuning.
See, I don't know if they are slip ups. Sometimes, Yamato, it's just about sending a message.
Oh,
and when you have a Darius,
no. Everybody stop listening to what Spawn is saying right now.
Do whatever you want.
No.
And I hope LGD was also sending a message as well for your sake. But oh my God, yeah. The thing about KT is they reached that mid game and it just looked like Nagne really wanted to blow people up on Diana, and he was just using his Q to get to minions, to R and then R again, and that's not enough damage even by calculation standards to blow the person up. So I just feel like they're going way too hard when they could just calm down a little bit.
That game
Take
was
that
never
turret, and then you're fine.
I want to talk about the double TP meta that is developing. The guys in the caster booth touched on it a little bit. The idea that if you do fall behind or if you do create an early lead, it is that much better.
Yeah.
It has so much more impact on the map. Yamato, you were talking a little bit about how this summoner spell scales so well.
Yeah, it's like my biggest difficulty with Origin's team composition is if they fall behind, it's pretty much like it's so hard to get back. Even though KT, as I mentioned, had these slip-ups, like Origin's team composition is full magic damage. Like, even though we had a 3k gold lead, it means so much more simply because the magic resistance they buy just means so much more. But back to your point about teleport, I feel like in these matchups, like on the other side, we had the Shen and the teleport to just counter that, and then we had the snowball on top. So if a team with the double TP obviously going to end up ahead, it just shows that they will just snowball the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it's something that I talked about when countering the double TP, is you have to take it to them early on. Because if they get that lead, they put the people in side lanes, and then they can 1-3-1, no problem. And then you don't have people who can hold up in the split push, and you slowly but surely lose those lanes. And we saw Someday doing that the entire time.
Hey, we all got it right. They went double AP teleports as well, and there was a Banner of Command. Peekaboo was a legitimate split-pushing threat in that game with Banner of Command Shen, because there's no one could kill that creep.
Lastly, a little time for reflection here on Origin's performance today. They are still making it out of the groups. They did what they needed to do to secure that second seed. However, that's probably not what they hoped for after their 3-0 start last week. Looking at them specifically, individuals, Soaz in the top lane did not look good in this game. We saw, reminiscent of some of that old tilty Soaz that can sometimes come out if people target him.
Yeah, you can actually really see it in his player cam too when he's on tilt, because he gets his face, he just definitely sees it. And that's the thing, is they targeted him specifically. They went after him level 1. They were hiding in the brush. They blew 4 flashes just to get his, but they capitalized on it. And Soaz is definitely the guy that, the team needs to be able to keep him centered, keep him focused, because this is what happens when that goes off. And he starts ending up in positions where he's the sole member engaging on the team from the back, from the flank, and it's just not working out for them.
Something that worries me, though, is like today I feel like Origin, it was a complete different Origin than the one we saw last week, simply because I think the draft, simply with this full AP composition, feels a bit lackluster because of the Banner Command, as you said, the MR efficiency. I don't like this full AP composition anymore.
Yeah, they felt like they got a little bit exposed today in their strategies, but they did make it out. They've got time to regroup, refocus, and do what they need to do for the bracket stages. We're going to step off the rift for just a moment, and when we return, it's the final game of the day as LGD goes up against TSM. We'll be right back.
We're going to do it for first place, boys.
Do it for America.
Do it for
Do it for America, guys. Do it for America.
Soaz breaks off, takes the low road. Niels tries to stay on the high road, and neither are going to work on this one. Score does get the Baron, and
actually a good call by Fnatic.
He's going to have to push himself out. Someday goes down. Double kill coming in for Niels. The apprehend misses amazing. Someday almost living, but goes down to a Cathy surprise. And that's going to be one last shot. Nagne Sanya's right in front, but the inhibitor turns down. Can the team give him the attack that's necessary to win this fight? And KT take first place in Group D.